Hello, welcome to another episode of Bringing the Zoo to You. My name's Cody. I'm a zookeeper here at Rolling Hill Zoo. I'm a hoofstock keeper, and today we're coming to you from Kids Country. So today, one of the first animals that I'm going to show you is our Arapawa goats. These two, James and Ozzy, came to us from another zoo. They're about 3 years old, and they are a little bit scratchy right now because they are shedding their winter coat, getting ready for summer. And kind of an interesting thing about Arapawa goats is they're one of the rarest breed of goats in the world. They come from New Zealand, and they are threatened right now. And if you can see the eyes, goats and sheep have a different type of eye called a rectangular eye, and it's kind of elongated side to side, and that's an adaptation from them being a prey species. And what that'll do is they can see farther on their peripheries to see commotion or predators that might be coming, so it gives them a better field of vision to see predators coming at them. So our next animal is going to be Randy, one of our Tuna sheep. He is our stud ram right now, and he's about 4 years old, and he weighs in at a whopping 250 pounds, which is quite large for a Tuna sheep. And Tuna sheep have a quite interesting story. They're a very old breed of sheep. They come from Africa, and initially they were a gift to this country in the 1700s from the King of Tunisia. Now, during the Civil War, armies were stopping along all those towns and farms, and were gathering up all the livestock, and that's how they fed all their armies. So what happened was a farmer in South Carolina saw that armies were coming. He saw that they were taking livestock to feed their armies, and what he did is he took his herd of tunas, hid them down in the woods next to a creek, and he is actually hailed as the person that saved the entire breed of sheep because he hid his flock from the armies in the Civil War. And it's also believed that this was one of the breeds of sheep that were allowed to graze on the White House lawn. And he's been the sire of all of our lambs that have been born at this zoo to date. So our next animal is going to be our Jacob sheep. We have 3 Jacob sheep currently, and they're another very old heritage breed sheep. They're so old, in fact, that we really don't know where they came from, because it's said that they come from England or the Middle East. They are not really too sure because they're such an old breed of sheep. And these guys, both males and females, will have horns, and they can have 0 to 6 horns, but typically you're going to have 2 to 4. And we do actually have a girl that has 4 horns down in the back over there. She's one of our older girls. And they're also known to have horns that grow in odd directions. This girl is Chocolate Chip. The more white one that's next to the hay feeder is Cool Lip, and then the old girl in the back that's kind of hiding her face right now, that's Single Dip. And all these girls are over 12 years old. Randy, the Tuna sheep, is 4 years old, and the Arapawa goats in the back are about 3. And one interesting thing about the zoo itself and Kids Country is we've really kind of made an effort to concentrate on heritage breed animals. And heritage breed animals are not your commercial farm animals. Heritage breed animals, kind of the way I think about it, are animals that have a direct tie to our heritage. So years and years and years ago, these animals would have been the animals that were used when we first came to this country. We would have brought animals like these. They're a little bit hardier. They can survive in a harsher conditions. The tuna sheep that come from Africa are more well suited to warmer temperatures, and they're just older breeds of animals that, due to commercialization, have started to decline. But because of our efforts and our breeding programs with our tunas, we're hoping to have an effect in bringing those breeds back. So our next two animals are our domestic goat Irwin and our dwarf Zebu cow Zoe. Irwin is about 12 years old too, and Zoe is actually 17. Irwin is a very gentle goat, but he is very elderly right now, so he doesn't like to be too interactive with people. Zoe, on the other hand, tends to be pretty interactive. Like I said, she's 17 years old, and their lifespan is about 16, so she's pushing limits here, but thankfully she hasn't had any medical issues to date, so she is doing very well. The Zebu cow is an Indian breed coming from India. They were kind of adapted to warmer temperatures, and they liked the dwarfs or the minis because they could carry individual small carts around. And the Zebu cow is actually considered a holy animal in India. They're allowed to roam the streets unbothered, and she definitely knows it. And another interesting fact about Zebu cows is they're a little bit more resistant to parasites than a lot of other cow breeds. So that's why a lot of farms like them, because they're a little bit more pest resistant, but they're not really a meat breed. So a lot of beef producers don't really do a whole lot with them. So our next two animals will actually be our red-tailed hawks that are down here in Kids Country too. Baldric and Dawson. They're actually nesting right now, so one of them's hiding in her nest box, sitting on her eggs. And these two are about 19 years old right now, and these two birds are actually rescue birds. I believe they were both struck by vehicles and couldn't fly too well anymore. And their lifespan's about 21, so they're getting up there in age as well. And their nesting season's in the spring, and they do tend to be fairly protective of their nest and their eggs. They're not too ill-tempered with keepers, though, thankfully. Our next animal is going to be Maverick, our golden eagle. She is also a rescue animal that was also struck by a vehicle. It's estimated that her age is about 21 years old and their lifespan is about 30. Like the hawk, she is also nesting, and she also has eggs, which we'll try and include an image here in this video of her eggs, because her eggs are really beautiful looking eggs. She also has a tendency to be slightly aggressive during nesting season, and with her being such a large eagle, she can be a little unnerving, but this year she's done okay. And if you'll notice in the back, we also had to make her own nest box. For years and years and years, she never wanted to nest in a box. She always wanted to nest on the ground. So this year we went all out and built her own nest box, painted it and everything so it'll last in the weather. And thankfully she actually used it. And she does like being up high, and gets a bird's eye view, as it were, over the entire petting zoo. So our next and last exhibit down here in Kids Country is our chicken coop. We currently have 8 chickens. Most of them are also heritage breed chickens, so they're not your ordinary farm chicken. And this morning they did get alfalfa to rummage through and some produce to pick through, which is one of their favorite forms of enrichment. And these girls, also, we have 1 rooster and 7 girls, and the hens do lay eggs, and we collect their eggs almost every day, and we actually use those eggs in the diets of other animals here. We hard boil them and use the eggs, so nothing is wasted here at the zoo. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of Zoo to You for the tour of our petting zoo. If you have any questions, please write it down in the comments and we will get back to you as soon as we can.